Hey, what's going on everybody? Kevin Walsh from Ninja Holistic Health and Fitness. Welcome back to my weekly video series. So check it out. This week we're going to be looking at the pillar of health of stress management. And the topic that I'm going to dive into is what I think is the most important topic in all of health and fitness, and that is making difficult lifestyle changes. It's very, very challenging for us to bridge the gap between point A, which is where we start, and point B, where we want to get to. And we often trip up along the way and wonder why we can't effectively bridge that gap. And the reason is because we're not making lifestyle changes the way we should. So I'm going to show you basically the entire map that I've discovered always works for everybody as long as you follow it. And week by week, we'll kind of break down each part of that map so that you can effectively make changes in your own life. I'll tell you from the outset, this is not easy, and there's a reason that I would say probably 90 to 95% of people don't ever hit their health and fitness goals. It's a challenging thing, but if you know the territory and you're willing to put in the work, I promise you, you can make any goal a reality. So with that said, the first week we're going to look at, for today, facing the mirror. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing here, denial ain't just a river. That's an old saying, and it's very, very, very true, I found in my experience. You need to be clear on where you are starting and where it is that you're trying to get to so that you can bridge that gap. So first, the clarity. Ask yourself the question, where am I really? If you get very, very clear on that point A, where you actually are in relation to where you want to go, then you can start to actually make progress in the correct direction. But oftentimes what I find is we tend to look at ourselves as being not really in that bad of a place. Oh, my diet's not that bad, when perhaps we're doing things that we're hardly even aware of. Or we're looking at ourselves saying, I'm horrible, everything that I do is really bad, I'm in a hole that's so deep I can't get out of it. When in reality, perhaps there are only a few tweaks that we need to make. And we tend to be on one of those two sides of the equation. So first, whichever side of those you may be on, find the balance point between the middle. There are changes you need to make, but it's not so bad that you can't overcome it. That's the starting point right there. And whatever your things that you're doing right now or not doing, that's your point A. So get clear on that. The second thing is be brutally honest with exactly what you're doing that might not be actually contributing to the betterment of your own health and fitness. Because the denial thing is, and I ran into this myself, we do things and tend to justify it. And by justifying it, allow ourselves to keep doing something that's not actually in line with our goals. My thing for a long time was ice cream. I was a complete ice cream addict through and through. And I justified it in my mind by saying, well, it's full-fat ice cream, it's grass-fed, and there are a lot of benefits that come from that, vitamin B12 and on and on and on. But it was really just me basically giving myself the okay to do something that I knew wasn't in line with where I wanted to go. And once I got clear on that and realized what I was actually doing by doing what I just said, face the mirror, then I was able to kind of, start making some plans, making some, tweaks here and there, and creating a map to go in the direction I wanted. But until I was clear on that and realized that this is not in line with the body fat reduction goal that I had, I'm not going to get anywhere. So be brutally honest. And the last thing is let it all out. So a lot of times when you're trying to make changes and the starting point of where you are is not at all flattering to you and you're not happy with it, there's a lot of emotional baggage that comes with that. And we tend to internalize it and not express it because in our society it's just not fashionable or considered acceptable to be very, very honest and express your emotions. So we bottle them up and then we just end up with these sort of like distorted patterns of posture and tense muscles because we're trying to cling to something instead of just letting it out and being clear with it. So if this is, anger or sadness, if you want to punch pillows or you need to cry, I would encourage you to just let that stuff out. And when you let the floodgates open, although it's not the most pleasant thing, obviously, to go through, it purges unnecessary tension that builds up in the body. So that right there is a good starting point just to get some clarity with where you're at. Now, the next thing is what I call facing your demons. And we all have, quote unquote, demons. Demons are basically things that are kind of things in our mind that run on autopilot that are not serving our best interest. And it could be something like traumatic past events. It could be, just general beliefs that don't serve us, that aren't, in line with our goals. Things like I'm not good enough, I always fail, I am a failure. whatever it might be, getting very clear on the fact that we all have demons and we have to kind of work through this stuff, because the reason is that it filters our perceptions. And this is the way that perception works. The actions that we do individually, so whatever we eat, for example, is going to be habitual. Everything that we do tends to be a habit, so we do it over and over and over again. There's always a habitual loop going on. That habit loop of action is driven by thought. So we think, either consciously or unconsciously, that we're going to do a certain thing. We have a thought, sends the message through our nervous system, and then we act in whatever way we act. And those thoughts finally are dictated by beliefs. The beliefs that we have are the ultimate operating system driver. So wherever you find a pattern of behavior that's not so good, I guarantee you will find a belief of some kind that's driving that behavior. The thing is, if you don't address that belief and you try to address just the behaviors without going into this territory, because maybe we're uncomfortable with it, we don't want to go there or think about it, what happens inevitably is you may make some brief changes, think you're making some progress, and then at some point this is going to come back and the current that's driving the whole thing will bring you right back to square one. I've seen this happen over and over and over again with other people and with myself. So what you want to do is hack into the beliefs. What are your beliefs? I would invite you to write down on a piece of paper, get really, really clear. What is it that you believe about yourself? In terms of self-image, self-worth, your ability to reach your goals, to make changes, whatever it might be. And when this is all on paper, it becomes a lot easier to see where you're at and what it is that you need to sort of address and work on. And the last component of this, and this is the most important part of this video, I hope you take this to heart because this changed my life completely, is the recapitulation. The process of recapitulation is basically a way of retracing your steps. So along the way of our life, of our journey here on Earth, we have events that happen, both positive and negative. And the negative ones very often filter our perceptions. They give us ideas that sort of stick with us for a lifetime. And the more of them that compile, the more filtered our beliefs and our ideas of the world become and the more skewed they are. The reason this is so pernicious and so bad is because if we don't clear these things out, we won't have a very clear understanding of what's possible for us and be able to act in rational, logical ways that honor our body, that honor our health. And we kind of will end up wondering, why do I do these self-sabotaging things that I can't seem to stop doing? The process of recapitulation is basically sort of an energetic, emotional healing. You don't need any therapists or anything like that to do this, although I will point out therapy I think is a very, very good thing. If you can get a great therapist, they're wonderful for helping you look at things from a new perspective or uncovering stuff that's been buried for a while that you need to kind of work through. But ultimately, whatever you do discover with somebody, you've got to do the work yourself in order to get past it, or you'll just keep going to therapists for the rest of your life. So I'm going to leave a PDF of the recapitulation if this is territory that you would be willing to go into. Again, it completely changed my life for the better and allowed me to see from a completely different lens without past traumas and baggage that I had in my own life. And you get this great release from it that actually changes your posture even too, because we hold emotions in our body. So I'll leave a PDF for that again in the email here. You can look through that and go through the process because it's a whole world within itself. But I will tell you this once and for all. If you do this, if you do the recapitulation and take this seriously, you will solve all these problems that I was just going over in terms of the mental and emotional things, the sandbags that hold us down from moving forward and getting to our goals. It's very powerful. Do not underestimate the usefulness and effectiveness of this because it will change your life if you actually take advantage of it and put it into your daily life. So with that said, this is kind of deep, and I love going deep because at the end of the day, if you want to make lasting changes, you've got to get to the core of the issues. So that wraps it up for today. The next couple weeks, I'm going to get into more of the mechanics of how you get clear with your dreams, where you're trying to go, getting clear with where your starting points are or your nightmares, and then going through the actual changes. We'll get into all that in weeks 3 and 4, and I'll give you an action plan for how to do that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next week for video 2.